This is the GD5 tutorial where we'll look at some of the finer points of this rather awkward little dome. If you like building flat-back furniture or crossword puzzles in general, this is the dome for you. It's a simple looking thing, but it's got one or two awkward aspects, and I'm getting a couple of emails where people are having problems with the base. So today we're going to look at the base, and I'll run you through building the base for this. Right, we'll start with these base triangles. They are, let's go outside, there are only two triangles in the GD5, a pentagon shape, like that we'll call it a pentagon because 5 of those joined together makes a pentagon, and an equilateral triangle. Obviously that's got the same length sides on all sides. Right, to make the base, we stud the centre and then we sew it down the middle. So what we end up with is a left hand and a right hand half equilateral, and a left hand and a right hand half pentagon triangle. That's a window, that top one there. We do that twice, so we've got 4 half triangles for the pentagon and 4 half triangles for the equilateral. I've made a little pile there. Right, let's go back inside. That gives you 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are pentagon, half pentagon I should say, and those are the half equilateral. I'll look on the exploded view here. That's those two there. Oh, I've missed a couple off there. There should be another couple of half triangles in there, but I've missed it off. Good, I've got to change that. Right, we've done the base, all the base triangles here. So we've got 8 of those in total. That's all the half triangles made. Next, we're going to run on to making the base beams. Right, let's start with this one here. There's basically 2 base beams to make. This one here, which I'll call the small one. This one goes under the pentagon because it's a wee bit smaller. And there's this one here, which is slightly larger. It's deeper here, and it's longer. But that angle there should be the same as that. The length of that, I should say. Blimey, I'm coughing. Right, let's start with making. What we'll do first is we'll make the small one. So I've got a pattern here. I made one earlier actually, but if you're making them from fresh, what you need to do is you need to mark the measurements. This one is, you mark along a piece of wood. Start with a long piece of wood. I've got a really long section of wood there. That way it gives you a bit of elbow room really. And you'd mark on here the shape. So you'd mark up here what it says on the plan, along the bottom what it says on the plan, draw here, and then up here. So you end up with, let me have a look. I've noticed how I've left a little space at the end. I do this just for elbow room really. Well, the pen's run out now as well, just charming. Well, you get the general idea is that you mark it on there. Can you see my pencil line? Just. You mark that out. Now, the top has a angle cut on it. Like that, see the angle? That angle is shown on this part of the plan here. And it's 58. I wouldn't worry about the 0.2. Cut that off, that's 58 degrees. So I think if you're putting it on the saw like that, you'll need to set your saw at 32 degrees. So what you do is you've marked it on here, and then you've set your saw at 32 degrees. Now you want to be cutting away from this line. So this is the inside of the dome, and it's the biggest that the base will be. It wouldn't matter if you cut it the other way, but it's definitely better to cut it that way. So what you end up with is let's just have a look there now, is that. Effectively you cut that out. It's been cut on the saw at an angle, and it's thin at this end and thick at this end. And this side is the inside of the dome, and this side is the same as the measurements on the plan. Right, I've cut a set already, hopefully to explain how I've done it. And what I've done is I marked it out first. This is the start with the thick end at this towards here, and always make these. I've found that it's much easier if you always add at least 2 inches on. Mark your line by all means, but leave a bit of space, because sometimes you have to cut angles and it can be a bit awkward. Right, first of all we mark it, then we cut this section off. We've got our 58 degrees there, so we cut this off, and that leaves an angle piece of off-cut wood here. And what we do then is we cut another one. See how that's the opposite? That's the mirror of that one. So the offcut on our plank, we line this one up with it, and we cut another one. That gives us 2 of those. Do that again, so that we have a total of 4 of those. So what we've got is, this will get your main sizes. Do the same with the big ones. Now I'm using something like an 8-inch piece of wood here, so it's full height here. So you have to add on maybe 2 foot, 2.5 foot extra on here to allow for them to top and tail them like that again. So that's your 58 degrees there, or 32 on the saw, and you've got you would just cut that right the way through there. Cut that all the way through there. Take this one away, and then let me show you this again. There you go. So you have 2 mirror images like that. They're mirror images, and these are a good 6 inches longer than they need to be. That's all extra. I'll show you what we do next. Next we go back to the plans and we look at the short end of the small base section. That there says 80 mils, but below it we've got the angle. What does that say? 81 degrees. So that's 9. We set the saw to 9 degrees, and we cut the small end. That's the small end there. Cut that at 9 degrees. Cut that one at 9 degrees. Now this is the inside. I'm catching a bit of glare there. This is the inside. This is the outside. So the 9 degrees needs to be cut like that, because obviously this is the inside of the dome. So you can cut both the small base section, which measures 80. So you just, if you've got a great, you'd have a great big long pointy bit on here. That's what I end up with. I just measure up, so that's 80, and cut it off at 9 degrees. Now look at the big one. The big one's the same, 80 and 9 degrees. So we do both the big base section and the little base section, and we cut just the one end. I'll set this up now, and then I'll show you why we just cut one end. Okay, I've cut one. There's 4. You need 4 of these in total, but I've done the first one to show you. Right, what you end up with is a big one, steep, and a little one. Now, like I said about the angles, that's 9 degrees, and you'll notice that the heights are the same. So that end there this is the small end of the little one, and that's the small end of the big one. They're both the same height and they're both the same angle. We haven't done anything on that end, and we haven't done anything on that end yet. Now you'll need to make a left hand and a right hand version of that. So let me show you that. That goes there and that goes there. That's the left hand version, which is big one on the left, small one on the right, and the right hand version is small one on the left, big one on the right. Okay, I'm going to start putting this together to show you how I've got one of the small base sections, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this is the half pentagon. The half pentagon goes on the bottom of the small one. You can see that's our 9 degrees, and look how that matches up perfectly with that. You can tell it's right because everything lines up. Now look at this end, you can see that I've made it a little bit too long. So all you do is, I'm trying to hold this with my knee, is you mark that line there with a pencil, because that's exactly the length that you want it, the same length as this, and the angle will be very closely right. So mark down here, down there with a pencil, and you can cut that off. I'll just tell you what the angle is. The angle is well, it's the little one we're dealing with, so the angle is below it here, 67.5 degrees. You have to find out what your saw angle is, you have to take 67.5 away from 90, and that gives you your saw angle. So you can mark and cut that now. Next, what I'll do is right, here we go. That is, there is your small base section. That there is your half pentagon. This is joined to a half equilateral on this side, and this is the large base section. There's a 9 degree cut here. Now it doesn't matter what size you make these. If it was higher or lower, it wouldn't matter, as long as this angle here and that height is the same on this side as on this side. The angle, which is this one here, that one there, is cut on the saw first. So that once you've got that, that's essentially done. Now you need to screw that together, and that gives you one base section. Now you've got to make another one of these, but the equilateral triangle is on the left instead of the right, so that you have the equilateral triangle here and the pentagon there. Once you made that one, you make them both the same again, so you end up with 4, 2 like that and 2 mirror. That's all of the base sections done. When you're making the base sections, there you go, those are the half pentagons with a smaller base section, half pentagon, smaller base section, half equilateral with the bigger base section, and half equilateral with the bigger base section, and it's repeated on the opposite side. Now what we've done is we've cut this exactly because we marked it off the pattern, but these are sticking past. That's fine, you just put them together and then put the saw down here and cut the excess off. On the door side, leave that full length until you're building it, because when your door section goes in here, when this door section goes in, it's at a different angle to everything else, so that angle is different. It's just as easy to follow the saw down here and cut it off flat after when you start your assembly. If you try to cut that angle before, it ends up a little bit off, so cut that afterwards. I think that's it for the base section. If you've got any questions or you're not sure, leave a comment at the bottom and I'll try and do another explanation, but I think that should cover the base section.